We crave the chilling whisper of the unknown. We seek the very monsters that haunt our dreams. We are drawn to the darkness that both repels and enthralls. The allure of the abyss, the fascination with the macabre, and the unsettling comfort found in controlled chaos hint at a hidden truth about human nature, a counterintuitive relationship with fear itself. Could this attraction to fear and pain not be a flaw, but a vital, albeit misunderstood, aspect of the human psyche, potentially holding the key to profound growth and self-understanding? For millennia, humanity has sought to understand this disturbing paradox. What compels us to stare into the abyss, to dance with our demons, and to seemingly embrace our own destruction? Across cultures and throughout history, humans have been captivated by fear, using myths, rituals, and art to explore its immense power. Consider the ancient Greek tragedies, where characters like Oedipus are inexorably drawn to their doom, or religious practices like self-flagellation and asceticism, where individuals seek spiritual enlightenment through the deliberate embrace of suffering. Even Gothic literature, with its exploration of death, decay, and madness, reveals a persistent human fascination with the darker aspects of existence. Carl Jung's exploration of the shadow archetype sheds further light on this complex attraction. Jung proposed that what we fear most often represents disowned aspects of ourselves, repressed desires, instincts, and emotions that we perceive as negative or threatening. Modern society, however, often encourages the suppression of fear and pain, leading to a profound disconnection from these vital aspects of the self. This suppression can manifest as anxiety, depression, and a host of other psychological issues. Ignoring one's shadow carries significant consequences, as unacknowledged fears and desires can exert a powerful and often destructive influence on our behavior, sabotaging our relationships, careers, and overall well-being. How then can we understand and integrate our relationship with fear and pain, not as something to be avoided, but as a catalyst for growth, wholeness, and profound self-discovery? This video will delve into the depths of the human psyche, exploring the shadow archetype and revealing how our fears and pains can be transformed into sources of strength, resilience, and wisdom. We'll trace the origins of this attraction to fear through myth, Jungian psychology, and esoteric traditions. We will then analyze its often surprising manifestations in modern life, examining how it shapes our relationships, our choices, and our very sense of self. Finally, we will discover practical techniques for integrating the shadow, transforming your relationship with fear, and unlocking your hidden potential. By the end of this exploration, you'll gain not just intellectual understanding, but also practical tools to confront your deepest fears, embrace your shadow self, and cultivate a more authentic, resilient, and fulfilling life. So let's begin our journey into the heart of fear and discover the transformative power that lies hidden within our darkest shadows. The shadow, as Jung conceived it, is not merely a repository of evil, but the hidden, often disowned, aspects of the personality. It encompasses those traits, desires, and memories that are deemed unacceptable or incompatible with our conscious self-image. These are the qualities we do not wish to own, the impulses we try to suppress, and the feelings we attempt to deny. What might lie within this hidden realm? Perhaps it is the unacknowledged anger simmering beneath a veneer of politeness, the repressed creativity stifled by the demands of conformity, or the shameful secret desires that clash with our moral ideals. It is crucial to understand that the shadow transcends simple notions of good and evil. While it certainly contains negative traits like aggression, selfishness, and envy, it also holds positive qualities that have been banished from the light of consciousness. Consider the individual who constantly strives to be nice and accommodating, repressing their assertiveness to avoid conflict. Their shadow might contain a fierce, protective energy that, if integrated, could empower them to stand up for themselves and others. Or imagine a person who considers themselves devoid of creativity, when in truth, their shadow harbors a wellspring of untapped artistic potential, waiting to be unleashed. Everyone possesses a shadow, irrespective of their background, social standing, or perceived goodness. Whether saint or sinner, the shadow lurks within us all, a constant companion on the journey of life. So how does this hidden aspect of ourselves make its presence known? The shadow manifests in myriad ways, often subtly influencing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It surfaces in our dreams, appearing as shadowy figures or monstrous creatures that embody our deepest fears and anxieties. It emerges in our fantasies, where we may explore forbidden desires or imagine ourselves engaging in acts that our conscious minds would never condone. It even slips out in our everyday speech, in the form of Freudian slips, those unintentional gaffes that reveal our hidden thoughts and feelings. One of the primary ways the shadow exerts its influence is through projection, a defense mechanism whereby we attribute our own unacceptable qualities or impulses to others. As Jung writes, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Consider the individual who constantly criticizes others for being aggressive, when, in reality, they are repressing their own anger and projecting it onto those around them. Or think of the person who accuses others of being lazy, when they are actually avoiding their own responsibilities and projecting their self-reproach onto those they judge. Projection operates on both an individual and a collective level. The societal shadow manifests as the collective disowning of certain groups or behaviors deemed undesirable, leading to prejudice, discrimination, and the scapegoating of marginalized communities. Mythological and literary figures offer powerful representations of shadow dynamics. Perhaps one of the most well-known is the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a chilling exploration of the split between the conscious and shadow Dr. Elves. Dr. Jekyll, a respected physician, attempts to separate his good and evil impulses, inadvertently unleashing his dark side in the MRRM of Mr. Hyde, a monstrous figure who embodies all of Jekyll's repressed desires and violent tendencies. The tale serves as a cautionary reminder of the dangers of repressing the shadow and the destructive consequences that can arise when it is denied integration. Consider, too, the myth of Icarus. Icarus, the son of Daedalus, was warned not to fly too close to the sun, lest he melt the wax holding his wings together. Driven by hubris and a thirst for freedom, Icarus ignores his father's warnings, soars too high, and plummets to his death. Icarus symbolizes the danger of unrestrained ambition and the shadow's destructive potential when it is not tempered by wisdom and self-awareness. Even the archetype of the doomed hero in Greek tragedy reflects the shadow's insidious power. Oedipus Rex, for example, relentlessly pursues the truth about his identity, only to discover that he has unwittingly killed his father and married his mother. His relentless pursuit of knowledge, though noble in intention, ultimately leads to his own downfall, representing the shadow's capacity to sabotage even the noblest intentions. One also encounters shadow figures in fairy tales, in the form of witches and monsters, embodiments of repressed fears and desires that emerge from the darkest corners of the psyche. These figures, seemingly external to ourselves, often hold a mirror to our own disowned aspects, showing up in places we least expect, revealing hidden truths about ourselves. In essence, the shadow is a universal aspect of the human psyche, manifesting in various ways and wielding influence that can be both destructive and creative. As we've seen, from our dreams to our relationships, the shadow is ever present, shaping our perceptions and influencing our actions. But if the shadow is such a potent force, how can we learn to work with it, instead of being controlled by it? What tools and strategies can we employ to confront our deepest fears, integrate our disowned aspects, and unlock the hidden potential that lies dormant within our darkest shadows? In the following section, we will explore practical techniques for shadow integration, promising a path towards greater self-awareness, authenticity, and wholeness. Section 1. The allure of the abyss. While we stare into the darkness, why are we drawn to what frightens us, to the precipice of the unknown? Think of liminal spaces, those unsettling in-between places: a dimly lit hallway at night, an empty parking lot, a fog-shrouded playground that evoke a strange mixture of unease and fascination. They are metaphors for the shadow, existing neither here nor there, resonating with the unformed and the uncertain parts of our psyches. It's akin to the disquieting yet magnetic pull we feel when standing on the edge of a cliff, gazing into a dark forest, or even when engrossed in a horror movie, despite the goosebumps and racing heart. These experiences trigger a primal instinct, a deeply ingrained curiosity about the unknown, a compelling, if unsettling, desire to test our boundaries. It's like the part of us that wants to know if the stove is hot, even after having been burned before. There is a profound reason why small children will repeatedly touch something they have been warned is dangerous. They need to know, to integrate the experience into their understanding of the world, to master the fear itself. This urge speaks to the very core of our being. Denying that urge is to deny something essential about ourselves. And what drives this inherent desire to confront our fears? In large part, it is the human need for meaning. Facing our fears and confronting difficult experiences can provide a sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung writes, "I have frequently seen people become neurotic when they content themselves with inadequate or wrong answers to the questions of life. They seek position, marriage, reputation, outward success, or money, but remain unhappy and neurotic even when they have attained what they were seeking. Such people are usually confined within too narrow a spiritual horizon. Their life has not sufficient content, sufficient meaning. If they are enabled to develop into more spacious personalities, then the neurosis generally disappears. Cheap happiness or sublime suffering, which is better? The answer, of course, is not simple, but the question itself points to a truth, that growth often comes through struggle, and that facing our darkness can illuminate our path. Hinted at within this perilous attraction to the abyss lies a profound potential for transformation. By confronting the abyss that is, the darkest, most feared parts of ourselves, we can discover hidden strengths and develop resilience, much like a muscle that grows stronger with resistance. The shadow, as we've discussed, is not merely a repository of negativity, but also a source of untapped potential. The courage to face it is the courage to become truly whole. Are you willing to take that risk? Section 2. The shadow of control. Pain as a means of mastery. The psychological connection between pain and control is a labyrinthine path leading into the depths of the shadow. Seeking out painful experiences can be a way to exert control over our bodies and minds, a desperate attempt to master the chaos within. This manifests in a variety of ways, some seemingly benign, others deeply troubling. We must ask ourselves, is the pain controlling us, or are we controlling the pain? Consider the phenomenon of masochism, not merely as a sexual perversion, as it is often portrayed in popular culture, but as a broader psychological phenomenon. It represents the desire to experience pain in a controlled setting to feel a sense of agency and mastery. It is the act of choosing the pain, setting the terms, and therefore, paradoxically, seizing control from the jaws of powerlessness. The masochist, in this light, is not simply a victim, but an active agent in their own experience, seeking to transform suffering into a source of strength. This is not to condone harmful behaviors, but to understand the underlying psychology that drives them. This need for control manifests in myriad ways, from the relatively commonplace to the extreme. Think of those who engage in extreme sports like rock climbing or skydiving, where the risk of injury or even death is ever present. What drives them to such dangerous pursuits? Is it simply the adrenaline rush, or is it something deeper? Perhaps it's the desire to test their limits, to conquer their fears, and to feel a sense of mastery over their own bodies and minds. Similarly, consider the prevalence of body modification, such as tattooing and piercing. While these practices can be seen as forms of self-expression, they can also be viewed as a way to reclaim control over one's own body, to mark it, to transform it, to make it one's own in a world that often feels alienating and impersonal. Even certain types of relationships can be understood through this lens, where individuals seek out partners who are emotionally unavailable or even abusive. It might seem counterintuitive, but for some, the predictability of pain can be preferable to the uncertainty of love. The need for control in these cases often stems from a fear of vulnerability and a desire to suppress unwanted emotions or impulses. As psychoanalyst Stephen Grosh writes, "We choose what is familiar, what is comfortable, and what is familiar and comfortable is often what hurt us as children." This shadow of control, then, is not simply about dominance, but about a deeper, more primal need for safety and predictability in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. But at what cost does this control come? Section 3. Catharsis and the Shadow. Purging the unacceptable beyond the shadow of control lies the potential for catharsis, a powerful purging of repressed emotions that can pave the way for shadow integration. Experiencing intense emotions, even negative ones, can be a way to cleanse the unconscious mind of pent-up energy, much like a thunderstorm clears the air after a long period of oppressive heat. But how does this emotional release relate to our shadow selves? Art, literature, and drama all offer avenues for catharsis, allowing us to safely experience and process difficult emotions without real-world consequences. Watching a tragedy unfold on stage, reading a dark and disturbing novel, or creating art that expresses our deepest fears and anxieties can all be ways to release repressed emotions and confront our shadow selves. Consider the enduring power of Greek tragedies like Oedipus Rex or Antigone. These plays, filled with violence, suffering, and moral ambiguity, have captivated audiences for centuries because they allow us to grapple with the darkest aspects of the human condition in a safe and contained environment. Connecting catharsis to shadow integration is vital for the health of the psyche. By acknowledging and experiencing our shadow emotions, our anger, our grief, our shame, we can begin to understand and accept them as part of ourselves. This is not to say that we should act out on these emotions in destructive ways, but rather that we should allow ourselves to feel them, to process them, and to learn from them. Think of listening to angry music when grappling with repressed aggression. The music becomes a vessel for the rage, allowing us to experience and release it without harming ourselves or others. Or consider watching a sad movie as a form of release for our own sorrow, allowing us to weep freely and cleanse our emotional system. These releases, these moments of catharsis, are not merely emotional outbursts, but opportunities for personal growth. But here's what most people miss. Catharsis alone is not enough. Simply releasing pent-up emotions without understanding their source or integrating them into our conscious awareness can be like opening a valve without controlling the flow. The key is to use catharsis as a tool for self-discovery, to explore the roots of our shadow emotions and to find constructive ways to express them. And what happens when this process is interrupted or goes awry? Section 4. The Perilous Path. When the craving becomes destructive, while controlled pain and catharsis can be pathways to mastery and integration, an unhealthy relationship with fear and pain can lead down a perilous path. When the desire for these experiences becomes compulsive or self-destructive, it often indicates a deeper psychological problem, a wound that has not been properly tended. It's the difference between a controlled burn that clears the forest floor and a raging wildfire that consumes everything in its path. So, how can we distinguish between a healthy exploration of our shadow and a destructive descent into darkness? Consider the insidious phenomenon of trauma bonding, the forming of unhealthy attachments to people or situations that cause us pain. This often stems from childhood experiences of abuse or neglect, where the individual learns to associate pain with love and attention. In these cases, the individual may subconsciously seek out similar relationships in adulthood, repeating the patterns of their past in a desperate attempt to resolve their unresolved trauma. As Judith Herman writes in Trauma and Recovery, the conflict between the desire for attachment and the need for autonomy is the central problem of post-traumatic relationships. It's a tragic paradox. The very people who need love and support the most are often the ones who are drawn to relationships that reinforce their pain. Self-destructive behaviors such as addiction, self-harm, and chronic relationship problems often represent a desperate attempt to cope with repressed trauma or to punish oneself for perceived shortcomings. The addict, for example, may use drugs or alcohol to numb the pain of their past, creating a vicious cycle of dependence and self-destruction. The self-harmer may inflict physical pain on themselves as a way to release emotional pain or to feel a sense of control over their own bodies. And the individual who repeatedly finds themselves in dysfunctional relationships may be unconsciously reenacting their childhood traumas, seeking out partners who mirror their abusive or neglectful parents. These behaviors, seemingly inexplicable on the surface, are often deeply connected to the shadow. They represent a desperate attempt to cope with repressed trauma or to punish oneself for perceived shortcomings, a twisted form of self-soothing that ultimately perpetuates the cycle of pain. But here's the crucial point. These behaviors are not signs of weakness, but rather signs of a deep and often unrecognized need for help. If the craving for fear and pain becomes unmanageable, seeking professional help is paramount. Ignoring the darkness can have devastating consequences, leading to a downward spiral of self-destruction. But there is a light at the end of this tunnel. What if, instead of succumbing to the destructive potential of our shadows, we could learn to harness their power for good? What if our attraction to fear and pain could be transformed into a source of strength and resilience? We will explore this path in the next section. Section 1. Journaling as a mirror to the shadow. If the craving for fear and pain can become destructive, is there a way to use our shadows to create positive change? One of the most accessible tools for initiating shadow work, a safe space for exploring difficult emotions and repressed experiences, is journaling. Many different methods exist, but the goal remains consistent: to shine a light on the hidden aspects of the self. Journaling, in this context, is more than just keeping a diary. It's not about simply recounting the events of the day in a Dear Diary fashion. Shadow journaling requires focused introspection, a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and a commitment to radical honesty. The benefits can be profound: increased self-awareness, improved emotional regulation, and a deeper understanding of one's motivations and behaviors. Journaling, when approached with intention, can act as a portal to the unconscious mind, offering glimpses into the hidden landscapes of our psyches. To embark on this journey, all that's required is a pen, paper, and a willingness to explore the depths of your inner world without judgment. But what does it really mean to journal without judgment? The key to success in shadow journaling lies in cultivating a stance of non-judgmental observation. This means approaching your thoughts and feelings with curiosity and compassion, rather than criticism or condemnation. It's about acknowledging your shadow aspects without getting caught up in shame or self-loathing. Imagine you are a detached observer, simply recording the data of your inner world without trying to change or control it. This requires a certain level of self-acceptance, a recognition that everyone has a shadow and that it is not inherently bad. Embrace honesty, even when it's painful, even when it reveals aspects of yourself that you'd rather keep hidden. The more honest you are with yourself, the more profound the insights you'll gain. How, then, do we put this into practice? Section 2. Techniques for shadow journaling. Prompts, questions, and exploration. There are diverse journaling techniques that can be used to explore the shadow, each offering a unique pathway into the unconscious. Free writing allows thoughts to flow without censorship, while focused prompts provide specific avenues for inquiry. Then there's the dialogue with the shadow, in which one writes as if directly communicating with one's shadow self. Which of these methods is best suited to your own journey? Consider using focused prompts to kickstart your shadow exploration. Specific examples include asking yourself, what are my greatest fears? Delving into this can reveal hidden vulnerabilities and anxieties that drive your behavior. What are my recurring negative thoughts? Identifying these thought patterns can expose limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging tendencies. What are the qualities I dislike most in others? This often points to disowned aspects of your own shadow that you project onto others. What situations trigger strong emotional reactions in me? These triggers can illuminate unresolved traumas and sensitive areas within your psyche. By exploring these prompts in your journal, you can begin to map out the contours of your shadow self. But perhaps even more powerful is the active engagement with the shadow. Engaging in a direct dialogue with the shadow can be a transformative experience. This technique involves writing as if you are directly communicating with your shadow self, asking it questions and listening to its responses. Start by addressing your shadow directly, perhaps using a phrase like, "Dear Shadow," or "To the part of myself I have disowned." Then ask questions such as, "What do you want me to know?" or "Why do you keep showing up in my life?" Allow yourself to write freely without censoring your thoughts or feelings. You may be surprised by the responses that emerge. This process can help you to understand the motivations and desires of your shadow self, and to begin to integrate it into your conscious awareness. It's also of paramount importance that you record your dreams in detail, as dreams are a direct line to the unconscious. Pay attention to recurring symbols, characters, and themes, as these often represent shadow aspects that are trying to get your attention. Write down as much detail as you can remember, including the emotions you felt during the dream. Then, reflect on the dream and ask yourself what it might be trying to tell you about your shadow self. By diligently recording and analyzing your dreams, you can gain valuable insights into the hidden dynamics of your psyche. Is there a secret language to be learned from your own dreams? Section 3. Unveiling the patterns. How journaling illuminates the craving. One of the most valuable aspects of shadow journaling is its ability to reveal patterns in one's attraction to fear and pain. By consistently recording your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, you can begin to identify recurring themes, triggers, and behaviors that might otherwise go unnoticed. Journaling sheds light on the hidden forces that shape your choices and drive your actions. It illuminates the pathways of your shadow. For example, you might recognize a pattern of seeking out emotionally unavailable partners, repeatedly engaging in self-sabotaging behaviors, or being drawn to chaotic and unpredictable situations. These patterns may seem random or inexplicable on the surface, but through journaling, you can begin to understand their underlying causes. Perhaps you discover a fear of intimacy that leads you to unconsciously sabotage your relationships. Or maybe you uncover a need for control that drives you to create chaotic situations in order to feel a sense of agency. Or perhaps you identify a deep-seated desire for punishment that stems from feelings of guilt or unworthiness. Each of these patterns is connected to specific shadow aspects. The fear of intimacy may be linked to a fear of vulnerability and a desire to protect yourself from emotional pain. The need for control may stem from a fear of powerlessness and a desire to feel safe in a chaotic world. And the desire for punishment may be rooted in a sense of shame and a belief that you deserve to suffer. By identifying these connections, you can begin to understand the underlying motivations that drive your attraction to fear and pain. This newfound awareness is the first step towards breaking free from these destructive patterns. It's important to remember that the goal here is simply awareness, not judgment. There is no need to beat yourself up for engaging in these patterns. Instead, approach them with curiosity and compassion, recognizing that they are simply coping mechanisms that you developed in response to difficult experiences. By shining the light of awareness on these patterns, you can begin to make conscious choices about how you want to respond to them in the future. This is how journaling begins to unlock the chains of your shadow's compulsions. Section 4. A safe space. Emotional release and integration through journaling. Journaling provides a safe space to express difficult emotions without judgment or censorship. By allowing yourself to write freely about your fears, your anger, your sadness, and your shame, you can begin to process and integrate these emotions in a healthy way. This is because journaling allows for emotional release and integration. But what does this practically entail? Writing about traumatic experiences can be particularly helpful in processing and integrating them. By putting your experiences into words, you can begin to make sense of them, reducing their emotional charge and allowing for a more balanced perspective. This process can be painful, but it can also be incredibly liberating. As you write, allow yourself to feel the emotions that come up without trying to suppress or avoid them. Remember, the goal is not to rewrite history, but to come to terms with it. This relates to the concept of catharsis, a way to safely experience and release pent-up emotions, preventing them from manifesting in destructive ways. Journaling can be a powerful tool for achieving catharsis, allowing you to express your anger, your grief, and your pain in a controlled and constructive manner. Think of it as a pressure valve, releasing the pent-up energy of your unconscious mind. By allowing yourself to feel these emotions fully, you can begin to move through them, releasing their grip on your psyche. When approaching these exercises, be sure to show self-compassion. Shadow work is not easy, and it's important to be kind to yourself throughout the process. Acknowledge that it's okay to feel vulnerable, scared, or overwhelmed. Remind yourself that you are doing this for your own growth and healing. Treat yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer a close friend who is going through a difficult time. Give yourself permission to take breaks when you need them, and don't push yourself too hard. Is this perhaps the most difficult part of all? Section 5. From page to practice. Transforming insights into action. In summary, journaling offers increased self-awareness, pattern recognition, and emotional release, all crucial aspects of shadow integration. However, journaling is only the first step on this path. It is not the destination. The insights gained from your journal entries must be translated into concrete actions and behaviors in the real world. How can we take the insights we gain from journaling and use them to transform our relationship with fear and pain in the real world? While journaling can provide a powerful foundation for shadow work, it's important to recognize its limitations. Simply writing about your shadow aspects is not enough to fully integrate them into your conscious awareness. You must also take action to challenge your limiting beliefs, to heal your emotional wounds, and to develop new ways of relating to yourself and others. What other techniques can we employ to delve even deeper into the unconscious mind? We've only scratched the surface. Dream analysis, for instance, offers another powerful tool for understanding and integrating the shadow. By exploring the symbolism and imagery of our dreams, we can gain valuable insights into the hidden dynamics of our psyche. Understanding the contents of the unconscious can truly set you free. But can we ever truly know ourselves? Section 1. Dreams as whispers from the unconscious. If journaling provides a mirror to the shadow, then dream analysis offers a direct line to the unconscious, a realm where our deepest fears and desires play out in symbolic form. Dreams, however, do not speak in literal terms. They communicate through a language of images, metaphors, and emotions, a language that, once deciphered, can unlock hidden truths about ourselves. But can we really learn a language that stems from something we aren't even consciously aware of? Each individual, in fact, creates their own unique dream language, shaped by personal experiences, cultural influences, and archetypal patterns. A house might represent the self, while a journey could symbolize the path of individuation. Water often signifies emotions, and flying might indicate a sense of freedom or escape. Understanding these symbols is not about applying a fixed dictionary of meanings, but rather attuning oneself to the nuances of one's own inner world. By paying close attention to the details of our dreams and reflecting on their potential significance, we can begin to decode the messages from the unconscious, which leads to a greater understanding of our shadow selves. Dreams, furthermore, often compensate for imbalances in our conscious awareness, bringing to light neglected or repressed aspects of our personality. A very passive person, for instance, might dream of being assertive, even aggressive, revealing a hidden capacity for self-assertion that is not expressed in waking life. Conversely, a person who is overly assertive in their daily life might dream of being vulnerable or helpless, highlighting a need to develop greater empathy and receptivity. These compensatory dreams serve as a corrective, nudging us towards wholeness and balance. As Jung himself noted, dreams are the voice of the neglected side of our nature. But how can we make sure we don't neglect these vital messages? To capture these fleeting whispers from the unconscious, it is essential to record your dreams immediately upon waking. Details fade quickly, and the emotional impact diminishes as the rational mind begins to take over. Keep a notebook and pen by your bedside, and as soon as you wake up, jot down everything you can remember without censoring or interpreting. Even seemingly insignificant details can hold valuable clues. Over time, you will begin to notice recurring patterns, symbols, and themes in your dreams, providing a deeper understanding of your inner landscape. Now, let's descend deeper into that landscape. Section 2. The Dreamscape Shadow. Recognizing symbols and archetypes within the dreamscape, certain symbols frequently appear as harbingers of the shadow, revealing disowned aspects of the self. Monsters, dark figures, and hidden rooms often represent repressed emotions, unacknowledged desires, or feared aspects of our personality. A monster might symbolize repressed anger, while a dark figure could represent a hidden fear. Hidden rooms often point to secrets or aspects of ourselves we try to conceal. Are these symbols simply random occurrences, or do they hold a deeper significance? Many dream symbols are indeed universal, rooted in the collective unconscious, but it is crucial to remember that personal associations are paramount. While a snake might generally symbolize transformation or healing, for someone who was bitten by a snake as a child, it could represent fear and danger. The meaning of a dream symbol is always context-dependent, shaped by the dreamer's individual history and experiences. Therefore, when interpreting your dreams, it is important to consider both the universal symbolism and your own personal associations. Are we truly alone with these symbolic meanings, or is there something deeper at play? Archetypes, those primordial patterns of behavior and imagery, also play a significant role in dreams, guiding or hindering the dreamer's journey of self-discovery. The shadow archetype often appears as a dark figure or monster, embodying the disowned aspects of the personality. The anima or animus, representing the contrasexual side of the psyche, can manifest as seductive or threatening figures, reflecting our unresolved issues with relationships and identity. The wise old man or woman can appear as a guide, offering wisdom and support. These archetypal figures are not simply characters in our dreams. They are reflections of the deeper structures of our psyche. As we integrate these archetypes, we can move closer to wholeness and self-realization. Dream analysis, furthermore, helps to identify recurring patterns and themes in the shadow, providing valuable insights into our unconscious motivations and behaviors. Repressed anger might manifest as violent dreams, unacknowledged desires might appear as seductive figures, and fears of vulnerability might be expressed as dreams of being exposed or attacked. By paying close attention to these recurring patterns, we can begin to understand the underlying issues that are driving our attraction to fear and pain. Can we trace these patterns back to our journaling practices? In fact, dream analysis enhances journaling by providing a deeper understanding of the unconscious mind. As dreams often pick up where journaling leaves off, they offer a more comprehensive view of the shadow. Dreams can be understood in a way as the feelings we get while journaling, a symbolic echo of the emotions and insights we uncover through conscious introspection. By combining journaling with dream analysis, we can create a powerful feedback loop, accelerating our journey of self-discovery and shadow integration. But how can we actually put these ideas into practice? Section 3. Interpreting the nightmare. A case study in shadow work to illustrate the process of dream interpretation. Let's consider a hypothetical nightmare. I'm being chased through a dark forest by a shadowy figure with no face. I can't run fast enough, and I know they will catch me. What might this nightmare reveal about the dreamer's shadow? The dark forest in this dream could represent the unconscious mind, a dense and mysterious realm where hidden fears and desires reside. The shadowy figure, with no face, could symbolize the disowned aspects of the self, those parts of our personality that we have rejected or disavowed. The chase, of course, represents the dreamer's attempt to avoid their shadow, to outrun the very aspects of themselves that they fear the most. But is this chase truly avoidable? Connecting the dream to potential shadow aspects, we might surmise that the dreamer is repressing anger, harboring a fear of vulnerability, or grappling with a sense of being pursued by their own past. The faceless figure suggests a lack of self-awareness, an inability to recognize and accept these shadow aspects. The dreamer is running from something they don't fully understand, which, in turn, fuels their fear and anxiety. But how can we stop running and finally turn to face the figure? The potential meaning of the dream, then, is that the dreamer may be avoiding confronting certain aspects of themselves. The dream is urging them to face their fears, to turn and confront the shadowy figure, to integrate the disowned aspects of their personality. This is not to say that the dreamer is inherently bad or flawed, but rather that they are denying a part of themselves that needs to be acknowledged and integrated. Until they do so, they will continue to be haunted by this recurring nightmare. This begs the question, can we use this dream to change our lives? Section 4. Beyond the dream. Integrating the shadow into waking life. In summary, dream analysis provides invaluable insights into the unconscious mind, revealing hidden aspects of the self and facilitating emotional processing. It offers increased self-awareness, a deeper understanding of our motivations, and a path towards shadow integration. Understanding your own dreams is like having a cheat sheet to your own subconscious. However, there are limitations. It is often difficult to interpret dreams on one's own. The symbolic language of dreams can be complex and ambiguous, and it is easy to fall into the trap of projecting one's own biases and assumptions onto the dream material. For this reason, it is often helpful to seek guidance from a therapist or experienced analyst who can offer a more objective and nuanced interpretation. Is there a way, then, to get objective insight without external influence? Now that we know this, can we see it, change it, accept it? The ultimate goal of dream analysis is not simply to understand our shadow, but to integrate it into our conscious awareness, to embrace the totality of our being. This requires a willingness to confront our fears, to acknowledge our vulnerabilities, and to embrace the darker aspects of our personality. As we integrate our shadow, we become more whole, more authentic, and more capable of living a fulfilling life. But we're just scratching the surface of shadow integration. But what other techniques exist for delving even deeper into the unconscious mind? Active imagination, for instance, offers a more direct and interactive approach to the unconscious, allowing us to engage in a conscious dialogue with our shadow self. What secrets might active imagination reveal, and how can it help us to unlock the full potential of our psyche? As we draw together these threads, we find ourselves standing at the edge of a profound paradox, our attraction to what scares us, to what causes us pain. It is an attraction that has driven us to the brink of destruction, and it is also an attraction that holds the key to our greatest transformations. Our exploration has centered on the shadow self, the hidden repository of our disowned desires, fears, and impulses. We have seen how the allure of the abyss, the temptation to confront the darkest aspects of our being, can lead us down dangerous paths, into trauma bonding or cyclical repetitions of self-destructive behavior. But we have also seen how this very confrontation can be the catalyst for profound growth, unlocking untapped potential and fostering a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Indeed, the dialectic tension between destructive tendencies and developmental capacity lies at the very heart of human experience, with the shadow as both impediment and impetus. We began this journey by asking why we are drawn to darkness, to the things that scare or hurt us. Now, we can see that the answer is not so simple. We are not simply drawn to the darkness, but rather, we are complex beings with adaptive mechanisms that, when distorted, can lead to maladaptive behaviors. We seek control, catharsis, a distorted validation, and ultimately, a twisted form of self-preservation in our encounters with fear and pain. What once seemed like a morbid fascination now reveals itself as a complex interplay of psychological forces, a dance between the conscious and unconscious, the light and the shadow. The path to wholeness, then, is not about eliminating the darkness, but illuminating it. It is not about